Hey parents, it's Pastor Dave, and today I want to take a few minutes of your time to reintroduce to you an old resource that we're rolling out again this Sunday, March 7th, as Pastor Orrin prepares to get into his sermon series on 1 Peter, a series that's going to take us all the way through to the end of 2021. So, new sermon series, new resource, perfect timing. So let's go ahead and take a look at our Sermon Notes for Kids version 2.0. So we put this out prior to the pandemic there at the Welcome Centers typically, and it was an activity that kids could do to kind of follow along with the sermon, and we decided to revisit it and do some revision. And so this is the new version of what we're putting out starting this Sunday. And as you'll notice, what we've done, we've adapted the HEAR method, HEAR, highlight, explain, apply, and respond to the sermon notes for kids. The reason why we've done that is because that's what the foundation workbooks that we were promoting back late last year, first of this year for family Bible reading, that's what they use. And the reason why I personally like it, out of the myriad of different acronyms and methods you can use to help kids engage in Scripture, this one is simple. This one is very, very foundational. If you can begin training a child, even at a young age, to do those four things, hear, explain, apply, and respond, then they're going to be better equipped as they get older to maybe tackle some more in-depth tools and methods for their own daily Bible study. So we're putting this into the sermon notes for kids. And so this is how it's going to work. Again, some of this is going to look very much like the original document, but let's just kind of walk through some of it here. So we have over in the side here with the pencil, words you heard but don't know. It's great for kids, particularly those that can express some things that maybe they heard Pastor Orrin say that they're just not familiar with. That could be doctrinal, theological terms, biblical terms, names, places, or just concepts that we as adults often take for granted. But then we get into the meat of the document, and that's where we start walking through HEAR, starting with highlight. And this is just a place for them to go ahead and keep up with where are we in Scripture for that Sunday morning, and writing down the book, the chapter, and the verses that Pastor Orrin is preaching from. And then we have our big area here for explain. And so rather than trying to ask a lot of different questions, as we did in the old Sermon Notes for Kids document, here what we've done is we've left a large space, and we're encouraging kids to explain the passage in their own words or by using drawings. So even if your child is not able to read and write yet, if they can just do a simple drawing, it could be stick figures, it could be squiggly stuff, it doesn't matter, but the idea is that what they're hearing, do their best to explain it there in that drawing. And of course, if they do read and write, encourage them to maybe write down some basic sentences about what did you hear from this text during the sermon. And so really, that's the kids' part that we're asking them to do during the sermon. As we get down to the bottom of the sheet, this is for you as parents. And so we're going to start with the apply, because as parents, it's your job to walk your kids through what they've heard and experienced in the sermon. We don't want to just leave it for the kids to let their imaginations go wherever it may take them. And so what we're going to do is that we're going to provide for you questions and some prompts. If you remember in our family ministry plan, one of the things that we're really wanting to help you be able to establish are faith talks. And so these are going to allow you to have faith talks with your children after the service. And so they'll have their top part of the sheet that they've been working on, and you're going to have the bottom part. And so here's our goal. We'll see how it works out the gate, but we're going to try and have questions that are going to be posted on the screens during the announcements before the service, so that you as parents can get your first look at them. And then after the service, we're going to have an email already scheduled, ready to go, that's going to hit your inbox like at 12:05. And it's going to have those same questions for you. And we'll also plan on posting those there in our Family Ministry Facebook group. And these are things for you to take directly from the sermon and to begin to engage your child with what they have heard and to help them begin applying it to their lives. And then finally, we have the respond section. And so based on your discussion as a family, so you've taken what they've done in the hear and the explain part. You've used the apply section to get some conversation going, and then lead your child in either a prayer or some type of action of response. It's always good to offer up a prayer for God to help us to be able to learn and do based on what we've heard. But sometimes it's good to think of something specific that we can do rather than it just being a prayer in order to respond to what we've heard. So parents, expect these out in our welcome areas beginning this Sunday, March 7th. And please, I encourage you to use these, even if your kids are small. That's why we've made this not to be so dependent on writing. So utilize it. Look for those questions in your inbox. Look for those on the screen. Look for them in the Facebook group. We're just making sure we're covering all our bases here. And use this as a means to help you let that sermon live longer in the hearts and minds of your child after Sunday worship.